What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. Not an episode, it's a study guide. Or study hall. 3, 2, 1. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name's Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Tyler's Goro deck that he played for the Royal Rumble here on the past campus championship. So what was the Royal Rumble? Well, Princess and the Pea has been stirring up some news, and so we wanted to take and have a bit of a free week this week, and anybody can make whatever deck they wanted. So some of these decks are pseudo repeats, but they've got some changes, some updates, and so on and so forth. And so we wanted to fight Princess and the Pea and see what that looked like. If you want to check out those matches, they'll be on their own separate playlist here on the channel. And with that said, let's jump into the profile. All right, so Goro is so rad. What a cool character. He has the absolute most life out of any character inside of the game in standard currently. 4 hand size, 40 vitality. And the way that this deck works is essentially we want to stall out our opponent with big Shokan Princes and then just Spirit Bomb them and kill them in one go. And Goro can easily do this with the cards that are inside of our deck, as well as his ability of discard the top 4 cards of your deck, and then your attacks get +4 damage for each one. Not to mention his static that says his face downs count towards 2 when passing cards, and then his first form is his most important part. Him being a 4 hand size character, he's incredibly inconsistent with pulling cards off the top of his deck, as a 4-hander does. And so we can flip a foundation, shuffle my hand into my deck, and then add up the 4 cards from my discard pile to my hand, and then this ability can't be canceled. And so it's just incredibly strong. So we're gonna toss this guy right up here, and we're gonna look into the rest of it. So the first attack that we're playing is 4 Shadow Slice. This card is the best aggressive tool in the game right now. It's incredibly low cost, and in Goro, it is a 6 high for 10, and so if you can make 4 Shadow Slices hit, you kill everybody, including the mirror match. This card is fantastic, and not to mention, its main ability removes itself from the discard pile, which we get to mill the top 4 looking for it, not only whenever we play cards, but as I'm playing as Goro. Up next, we've got 4 Shokan Grab. Shokan Grab is really also good. Shadow Slice is the only non-5 difficulty attack in our deck, and so this card just gets really big really fast. This deck was made to fight Princess and the Pea, not only being 40 vitality, but also, I mean, seeing 2 Shokan Grabs means that she's dead even if she full blocks them, just because of how thick these attacks are. It's a 4 damage attack by itself, 8 inside of Goro, not to mention any 5 difficulties that you've added, not to mention you automatically get to add 1 after you flip a foundation. So if you can survive the Princess and the Pea's turn and you find double Shokan Grab, you kill her. In the same vein, we're also playing 4 Vicious Madness. This card also is a really good Pea Slayer. It's just 8 damage, 12 inside of Goro that can't be partialed. Princess and the Pea's best blocks are highs and lows with things like punches and judies, and this card just beats that. We're playing double Flight of the Wicked. It's the last throw inside of our deck, Asterix, and it just gets big depending on the number of face downs my opponent has. This is one of those cards that is really good. It doesn't have to be versus Princess and the Pea necessarily. It's just a good all-around card, as well as it discards the top 4 cards of our deck as well, which just means that it's going to be another engine in order to get more Shadow Slices, in order to get more Shokan Grab targets, in order to get more damage in general. Onto the bad checks. We are playing a couple poor checks in our deck. We're playing double Final Anguish. This card becomes a throw since it has the Earth symbol, and it also combos with a throw, which means it gains Powerful X. So versus non-Princess in the P decks, when I don't have to one-shot you, I can take and play a little bit slower of a game and pick up a singular throw and a couple Shokan Prince. I will play the throw, build up the Princes, and sit there and wait. And then I can play 1 Final Anguish, or play an attack, 1 Final Anguish, and then kill you off of the powerful and it being a throw. It starts at 7 damage, gets 4 off of Goro, making it 13, 8, 9, 10, 11, excuse me. And then just gets even more because of the powerful itself for each of my opponent's face downs. Just real nutty stuff. Oh, next we're playing Triple Missile Launcher, just a really good bread and butter technique under 2 of Goro's symbols, Earth and Fire. It mills the top 4 cards of our deck for, you can probably give it speed with Missile Launcher and then damage with Goro. So it's just a 7 low for a bunch. 7 low for 10 that they probably can't do anything with. Or if you know they don't have a low block in their hand, it's 3 low for 14. Seems okay. Not to mention it's got really solid deadlock pressure. And then our last card is Double Coffee Samba. This card is just a consistency card, really. I think this card is only good at maybe 1 or 2 of inside of Goro, but you have to be really wary of that 1 check. It says draw 2 cards, which is something that Goro doesn't get to do all the time. We'll just draw additional cards and then push out additional damage, and Coffee Samba is just one of the ways that we get there. On the assets, we're playing one Black Bear Diner. It's really easy to have our face downs be useful abilities. Flip and do this cool thing, or I flip stuff with my character, and so Black Bear Diner gets to let us reset foundations. But this is a bit of a slow card in the grand scale of things, just because it's not inherently useful on our turn. It's actually even better on my opponent's turn. If my opponent has a way to stop what's going on, I will just get rid of that card, get rid of a singular target. On to the foundations. Starting off our aggressive foundations, we've got 4 aggressive temper. This card says after it enters the discard pile during the enhanced step, I don't know, by discarding the top 4 cards, my attack gets +2 damage. So now this says that my Goro mill top 4 is, instead of for 1 card for 4 damage, is now 4 cards for 4 damage, is now 4 cards for 6 damage, or possibly 8 damage, depending on how many aggressive tempers we find. Up next, in the same vein, we're playing Soulless Sword. This card is a little baby Goro. It says discard the top 3 cards of our deck. My attack gets +1. And so on every attack, I can be milling 7 cards if I have one of these out, which means it's incredibly easy to find my Shadow Slicers this way. In the same vein as Soulless Sword, I've got a once per turn Second Saintly Beast, once per turn enhance top 3 for +2 or -2 speed. Goro's got it covered on the damage department. We have to make sure that we have speed so that I can push some of my non-throw attacks through. Giving my missile launcher an extra 2 speed just means that the 10 damage that I'm guaranteed off of the Goro is going to hit. They can't possibly stop a 9 low for 10. Not whenever I've got another handful of not when I've got a handful of attacks as well. Onto the flow cards. We're playing 4 Folktale Storyteller. This card just lets me pass more cards. I can pick it up with Goro. It's really good breaker deterrent. After they play a breaker card, I'll play it into my card pool, respond, and then build it down. And not only that, does it discards the top 3 cards on my deck in order to, as the cost to bring it down. We're playing 3 Azure Nightmare. This card's a little sketch inside of Goro, only because I only have 4 hand size and only get to. This deck does not have another way to draw cards besides Coffee Samba, and so picking up these. Discarding a card in order to use the Azure Nightmare is sometimes a little sketchy. Up next, we're playing 4 of Goro's Victory Pose. This is just to make sure that my game plan happens. This is very much a flow card, only because I don't want my opponent to play actions. I'm not running any actions, and so this card doesn't hurt me at all. I don't want you to Punch in Judy loop me. I don't want you to revoke or play a Deliverance on my cool attacks. This card just says, knock that off. You don't get to do that. On the defense, we're playing 4 Energy Absorption. This is the best defensive card that Goro has under 2 of his symbols, Earth and Fire. If your Vitality is more than your opponent's, which he has the most inside of the game, discard the top 3 cards, +2 or -2 damage, probably -2, stay above that Vitality, and then response check 4 after you take damage from an unblocked attack, gain a Vitality, only playable if your hand size is 5 or less. Wowzers, wowzers, wowzers. Just unbelievably strong inside of Goro. I'll never die. I'll never die, Goro. Up next, we're playing double Guardian of the Spirit Sword. This card just says -3 or -2 speed, depending on if it's a weapon or not. As well as we can discard and add Black Bear Diner to our hand. That's a less relevant effect, but it's more important of hey, I get to make sure this 1 block happens. Up next, we're playing 4 Commander of the Outworld's Army. After I take 4 damage from an unblocked attack, hopefully I have a couple of energy absorptions out in order to keep my life high, I will flip this card. I get to flip one of my opponent's cool cards, and then their next attack is -2 damage. So it's just going to let me survive as Goro just a little bit longer, as well as a little disruption of stopping my opponent's cool cards. Speaking of disruption, the granddaddy of disruption, Chokin Friends. This card says if my hand size is greater than my opponent's, all attack cards, all non-foundation cards, that includes actions and whatnot, get +1 difficulty. So this card was in here mainly as an answer to Princess in the Pea, because if I drop 2 of these down, she can't pass any of her actions because she's not playing very many foundations. In the deck that we were running, we only had 9 foundations in the deck, which means if I can happen to see double Shokan Friends on turn 1, or see it turn 1, see it turn 2, and him not be able to rip through my 40 Vitality, they won't be able to play. They won't be able to play their entire turn out just because of how they have to commit extra cards, and so they're just wasting and discarding cards out of their hand for free. And then when I'm ready to kill a 18 health character, I'll just flip my Shokan Friends and then kill you. Up next, we're playing triple Darkside of Karma. This card is just an onboard negate, and more importantly, versus Princess in the Pea, it flips to reset speed, which is really good in Goro because now my face down counts as 2 foundations. And then my last card of the deck is 3 overlay Geomatics. This thing is really good versus actions like Deliverance. Deliverance says if you would decrease the damage to 4. I'm just going to flip it and cancel, and now my 30,000 damage attack that I played with Goro is just going to kill you. As well as it does flip in order to let me have a resource. This is the best target to unflip with Black Bear Diner. It gets you the most value. Either this or the Darkside of Karma, depending on what you need in the situation. All right, and that was it. The Goro deck profile that we played for the Royal Rumble Campus Championship. If you like the deck, this is a really, really consistent, really easy fire deck. I really highly suggest people, if you're new to the game, pick up Goro. He's really good, especially if you are if you like solving puzzles. There's a puzzle on my opponent's board, and I get to pick up the best 4 cards to beat that puzzle. That's what I highly suggest to new players. With that said, if you like this, make sure you check out all the other profiles here on the channel. You check out the matches of the Princess and the Pea versus the World, the Royal Rumble, as well as if you want to, go out and support us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/TCGUniversity. Toss a couple bucks out there, join the community, and have some real fun conversations. So, from all of us here at TCG University, thank you very much for watching, and stay learned.